She's like, I wasn't really into it. And by the end, she was like, that was so good. That was probably my favorite one of all the ones this year. Dramatic. It's not melodramatic. It's not over the top. It's just.
Is that because you have a crush on Brad Pitt? Is that why? So the roaring endorsement is my wife fell asleep during it. Is that what you're saying?
That genre a lot, but also shows you what a film can be despite or because of being a part of that genre. Kind of why I go see movies.
Hello, folks, and welcome back to Hamlet Without Hamlet. I am one of your hosts, Ian, co-hosting it here with my esteemed co-host, Tim.
Obviously, today we are also without a studio. We're recording just before the Oscars, and today there is a snowstorm here in Minnesota, where we all live, preventing us from getting to said studio. So today we're kind of winging a little bit and trying something new.
Yeah, and David is joining us as well.
Hello.
Less of a producer role, more of just another voice in the corner on this one.
I'm just hanging out. Yeah.
Bear with me. I'm running a little bit more keys today, folks. Well, today we're going to talk through just some of the upcoming Oscar nominees. Tim being our resident Oscar officiant.
The day
he will guide us through that, and we'll add in our little bit here and there where we can. So, Tim, why don't you take us away into some of these best pictures?
Yeah, man. Each year provides its own unique mix. Sometimes I think it's really tight all around. Sometimes I think there's a clear favorite. This one was a little bit harder for me. I really enjoyed many of them. None of them I outright disliked, which as opposed to like a couple of years ago, there was 2 or 3 that I was like, I am bored out of my mind, or I'm never watching this thing again. So I was pleasantly surprised this year. So, I've ranked them from 1 to 10 in my preference. But even number 10, I'd still rate as like a solid 7 out of 10. So this is not a big range of my preference or quality. So the nominees are Begonia, F1, Frankenstein, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, The Secret Agent, Sentimental Value, Sinners, and Train Dreams. My preferred order, as we talked about before, if you've watched our video, is number 1 is Hamnet. Still my favorite that I've seen. The one that struck me most as a film, but also just personally and at an emotional level. Struck a chord with me and moved me. Kind of why I go see movies. Number 2 is Sinners. If anybody hasn't seen this, I recommend seeing it. Have either of you seen this?
No.
I have not yet. I ran out of time before the Oscars came.
That's all right. You don't need to see it before the Oscars. I just recommend seeing it. I think it's Ryan Coogler's vision came to life in a fantastic way. The way that music is interwoven into the film is nothing short of stunning. The performances are phenomenal. And it's such a cool take on a very well-trodden type of genre. I won't go into too much, but it elevates that genre a lot, but also shows you what a film can be despite or because of being a part of that genre. And it kind of blew me away. So it didn't move me as much as Hamnet, which is why it's number 2, but it is in what I would define as an Oscar film. Like, it feels big. There's moments of grandeur to it. There's the depth of the narrative kind of told across time, more or less. There's very few superlatives I can't hang on this film, and I'd watch it again weekly if I had the chance. So to give you a little bit of credit of how good of a film it is, my wife watched the first 40 minutes or so and started to get tired and was like, you can finish it, I won't watch it. And I watched. I was like, honey, I think you should. She's like, I wasn't really into it. And by the end, she was like, that was so good. That was probably my favorite one of all the ones this year. So
the roaring endorsement is my wife fell asleep during it. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I got.
The second part of that.
That's what I got.
So, I mean, it's not a short movie, and we started it at like 10:30 at night, so that was part of it. And then
Gotcha.
she has a very strong proclivity to, if she goes horizontal in a chair,
Yep, done.
the timer's running.
On that
No
note,
matter
too,
what's on the screen.
I gotta say, it seems like all these Oscar movies nowadays, it seems like minimum 2-hour runtime, 2.5 hours, pretty standard. It feels like.
Yeah. Yes and no. I mean, number 3 here actually is Train Dreams. That one's actually on the shorter side.
Mhm.
And I think that was necessary for the story, but it shows what you can do with a not limited, but a shorter runtime.
Yeah.
This movie was stunningly gorgeous. It is. I often enjoy the cinematography of a movie, but I rarely find myself going like multiple times in a movie. It just looks like a painting, almost every shot. Just the choice selection, the framing, what they chose to put in, where they put the camera, how the characters move across it. It's just gorgeous. It is, from what I've seen, not high. I think it's second or third. It's not likely to get cinematography, which I'm bummed about, because it was one of the key things I noticed and appreciated about the film. It's a very simple story, but a guy who lives in the Idaho area around like 1900 and 1925 ish, and his life as he lives it there. There's not much that happens, but that's kind of the experience of the film. Is just, it's a true slice of life of what happened there. It's not dramatic, it's not melodramatic, it's not over the top. It's just a view of this guy's life for a few years and how he would have kind of lived through it, just shot gorgeously. After that, I have Begonia, which took me by surprise. I didn't think I'd like this one as much. The director, Yorgos Lanthimos, is very much a you hate him or you love him, usually. He's had one movie I've can enjoy and appreciate, Poor Things, a couple years ago. Emma Stone won for it.
Yep.
Her performance was phenomenal, but the movie was one of the weirdest things you could watch. That's kind of Yorgos's thing. He has a movie called The Killing of the Sacred Deer, another movie called The Lobster. They're all just weird by choice. Like, clearly he's asking the actors to make weird choices with how they deliver lines or how they interact with each other. This one felt the most normal in terms of how people interact. Not that it was, but on the scale of Yorgos, it's more closer to normal.
What was this one about, by the way?
What?
What was this one about, by the way?
Emma Stone plays a high-powered rich CEO, and Jesse Plemons plays essentially a conspiracy theorist who is certain that she's an alien sent to Earth to take over humanity, and kidnaps her to prove it. And so most of the movie is the back and forth between them and then Jesse's mildly autistic cousin, which is a plot point in the movie and done really well and deftly, I think. But Emma Stone and Jesse Plemons, who plays this conspiracy theorist, their back and forth is the pulse of the movie, and it's so much fun to watch when they're on screen together. Again, it's interesting. It's the most I've enjoyed a Yorgos movie by far. Some people might hate the last 15-20 minutes. Some people might think it wraps up great. I'm more on the latter. I think it was a really fun, unique ending, as Yorgos is. This is definitely not for everyone, but it surprised me with how much I enjoyed it, and it's mostly because of the performances. So, unfortunately,
who should watch it?
Just go ahead.
Who should watch it then, if it's not for everyone?
Who should watch it? I mean, that's hard to say. I would be curious to have you two watch it and hear what you think. I would say if you're more open-minded of where a narrative like that could go, of is she or isn't she an alien, and that's a little bit intriguing, you'll probably enjoy it. If you want a more grounded study of humanity, this probably isn't it. Elaine wasn't a big fan of it. I was. If that tells you anything. It does a pretty good job of pointing a microscope at, online conspiracy theorists and how people can delve into that and get themselves into trouble and hurt themselves through what they think is right. And then it also delves a little bit into capitalism as a good thing, as a bad thing, how that's gotten us where we are today, the effects of pollution on the earth without being incredibly heavy-handed with it, I think. I don't know. It's hard to say that any one type of person would like it or not. It's just more of a, if it sounds intriguing, watch it. Because if I had not read a little bit of the plot and just saw that it was Yorgos, I'd have been like, yeah. But then upon watching it, I found myself very invested. So, and to be fair, I did watch it once and then watched it again with Elaine. So maybe the second time makes it even better because you can then appreciate the performances more than just trying to follow the story. I found that to be the case a couple of years ago with Everything Everywhere All at Once. But yeah, very surprising.
Yeah, I've definitely seen clips of this one and the trailer. So really kind of curious about it.
Yep.
We'll see what happens. What's next?
The number 5, another one that surprised me. I thought this one might be lower on the list because I'm not a huge Guillermo del Toro fan in general, is Frankenstein. But I found the way that he told the story to be beautiful, as his stuff often is, if weird. But through watching some of the special features, came to realize that he's loved Frankenstein since he was a kid, which makes sense for his milieu. And also, he's been wanting to make this movie essentially since he became a director, but hasn't had the right script or budget. And this was finally the time. So, similar like Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings, to see a director who's done a lot of stuff, but step into the thing that they are truly passionate about and bring it to the world the way they want to, was gorgeous. I thought Jacob Elordi was really good as the creature. Oscar Isaacs was really good as Dr. Frankenstein. Some of the other supporting characters were great. I feel like this movie would be a lot higher if it wasn't for Mia Goth. I didn't hate her, but when she was on screen as like the love interest for both the creature and Dr. Frankenstein, it just sort of fell more flat. So I feel like a different pick there could have been way more engaging. But overall, my favorite version of the story of Frankenstein, the most I've cared about the story, but specifically the creature, through the way they played him as far more sympathetic, just seeing, what his life would be like after being brought back in this grotesque way, but without being asked, and then just having life that he can't get rid of. Like, really cool analysis of how that might have played out.
Yeah. I never thought about that with Frankenstein being brought back to life against your own will and not wanting to. And then what does that look like if you don't want to be alive or you don't want that life?
Right.
And then you're seen as a monster.
Mm-hmm. And just a little bit of the analysis of like, if the whole world hates you, where do you go? Where can you find a place? Where can you find a life? Where can you find a community? And then later on top of that is the fact that he can't die. So like, even if you wanted to die, he can't die, and how awful of an existence that would be. And then the end, it kind of, I hesitate to say Tarantino'd it, but it has a little bit of, you start close to the end and jump back to see the story play out from different perspectives, and then
Okay.
get to the end again. And there was some really cool resolution at the end. But again, I'm not a big fan of the Frankenstein story in general or horror films, but this one was, as I said, done really well and beautifully. So I can highly recommend it.
Nice.
The number 6 is currently the front runner to win Best Picture, is One Battle After Another. Paul Thomas Anderson, similar to Yorgos without being as weird. He has a very specific feel and type of direction. I haven't resonated with a lot of his films. A couple I've had. Licorice Pizza was nominated for Best Picture 3 or 4 years ago, and that was the bottom of my list that year, as well as with my wife. So when I saw this was him, I was like, oh, okay. But I liked it a lot more than I thought I would. The basic plot is Leonardo DiCaprio plays a guy who's part of essentially a domestic terrorist group / revolutionaries who are trying to bring down the government by freeing people in like immigration camps and sort of taking on the government. And then things go wrong. One of them gets captured and she gives up everybody else. And as part of that, Leonardo DiCaprio and his new baby have to flee where they are and are given new identities. Then we pick up the story 10 years later or 15 years later. So the baby is now in high school. He's never knew her mother. And he's now assumed a new identity, but has nothing to do because he's not part of the revolution anymore. And then the military finds him and tries to come after him. And then the last hour of the movie-ish is them just trying to reconnect with each other after being separated. Some people would say it's interesting, in-depth commentary on government and capitalism and, you know, loyalty to country and loyalty to friend and family. I didn't find it to have a whole lot to say on it other than to just show it. But it was an interesting story, and some of the cinematography is gorgeous. He shot it in Panavision, which they don't usually use anymore. And so if you saw it in theaters in IMAX, how it was meant to be seen, the scope of it is stunning. I didn't have a chance to do that, but I could imagine just even watching the last chase scene out in the Southwest, like Arizona area, the scope and scale of it would be incredible to behold. So overall, I give it like a 7.7 out of 10. I'm a little surprised Leonardo was nominated for Best Actor. It has 2 nominations for Supporting Actor. Sean Penn is likely to win that one. He's not my pick. That would be Benicio del Toro, also nominated from the same movie. But it's currently earmarked, I think, to win like 6, supposedly, Oscars.
Yeah,
including Best Picture.
I think it's something like that, and I can see that.
I will. I'm not going to begrudge that it wins if it wins, but it's, you know, as we heard, it's not even in my top 5 of the 10.
Yep.
So not my preference.
That's fair.
It's funny that you say 7.7 because that is the exact score that it has on IMDb right now.
I'm pretty in tune with the American public.
It makes sense. Well, and it might shock you a little bit too, Tim, but this is one I have seen.
Hey,
I know.
What do you got, man? What'd you think?
A lot of the things that you said, I do think, where we are as a country, where we are as a people, I can see some of that in there, but really what I took away from it is the human experience of life and the different real life effects of different things that go on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because it's, to me, one of the things that I took away is, there's standing up for things, but then when things go awry, what does that look like for a family? And what does your life turn into after that was kind of the things. And, he went from, being this guy that's like all about the revolution to like, I have a kid. I have to do something to make sure I'm here for that kid.
Yep.
And that shifts everything. And then what that looks like over, obviously we don't get the filler between the 15 years, but when you come back in to see him, you can see it's kind of, he's just there trying to do the best he can. And yeah, the supporting cast on that one, I mean, yeah, there was some fun. The last hour definitely was better paced for me and more enjoyable. The first half was a little, I'll give him credit. The score, I think, did really well to carry the mood of the movie through.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I thought that was done well to kind of match. I think maybe a couple times it was pushing a little hard to make you feel certain things. But overall, I think it paced the movie pretty well. But the first 2/3 of it is very just human experience. And it's that last hour that's really puts you a little more on the edge of your seat of what is going to happen, because it's not at all clear. Like, you hope for a certain outcome, but what happens, you have to go and watch it, folks.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Indeed, you do. Well, I'm glad you've seen it. One thing that stood out to me from an experience standpoint of showing up a different perspective was a lot of the stuff around Benicio del Toro, and seeing that aspect of, like, if that was just your life, that you were, always just sort of hiding out, waiting for the shoe to drop to then get arrested or deported or separated or worse, how awful and pensive that would be.
Yeah, I can't imagine being in that position. I thought it was interesting how they played it off as everything was going on, though, that he was just nothing phased him at all. That he's like, okay, we gotta go do this. Okay, we gotta go over here.
The whole time he's freaking out, looking for a plug.
Okay, you jump. What? You jump.
He fell.
Now,
he fell
jump,
40
jump.
feet. He what?
No, I think in the supporting of that movie, I think his supporting actor role was much more, even if it's shorter time on screen, more powerful. And he did such a great job of just, all right, this is just it.
You're a bad hombre, Bob.
Even, his last scene on screen is just...
I had a few beers.
I was laughing harder at it than I should be.
I had a few beers.
Yes. Yeah.
He was great, man. Just exactly what the movie needed to be to just lift it and move it forward.
Yep.
That perfect amount, because Bob was not getting it done. And he happened to go to the exact right person to make it happen.
Yep. As luck would have it.
It's great.
Yeah, and I'll say Leo's still Leo. He put a great performance out for sure. Definitely not what I feel to be his best performance I've ever seen, but
sure,
I definitely felt he did a good job playing the role that he needed to.
Yes, I agree. I have it ranked 4th out of the 5 nominated performances this year, but in the history of Leonardo movies or roles, specifically those nominated for Best Actor, I would easily put this at the bottom. So
easily, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, no hesitation. Okay.
No, things he was nominated are so good that this was just, him being panicked a lot.
Yeah.
So
all right. So what's next?
Then we have number 7, Sentimental Value. This was very unique film. About 85% of it is in Swedish, and the rest is in English. So I would like to watch it again, because now I would be able to just enjoy the movie a little bit more than trying to read and figure out the plot as it goes. But it's essentially Stellan Skarsgård plays a movie director and writer that is estranged from his now adult daughters. And at the beginning of the movie, their mother passes away. So the dad shows up at the funeral. They weren't sure he was going to come because he's been off in California making movies most of their lives. And they love the house that they're in. It's the house they grew up in, and they're excited that maybe they can stay in it or sell it and get some money. And they find out that despite being divorced, her mother never signed the papers, so technically dad still owns it. So then there's a wrinkle within there. And then the dad asks one of the daughters to star in his new movie that he wrote. She wants nothing to do with him, which he takes very hurtful. He did a very good job of kind of playing that the boomer of just like, well, it's you know, that's just kind of how life happened. I didn't mean to hurt you. Let's just move on. Kind of, it'll be fine. Let's just do this movie, okay? I wrote it for you. Just do it. And she still wants nothing to do with him. So he goes to a screening of one of his earlier films and a now famous actress. Think of like Zendaya or what's her name? Zendaya, it'll be fine. Like famous for doing movies, but not necessarily famous for a lot of dramatic work. Is really struck by his movie. They talk. He asks her to be in the movie now. She says yes. It's out of her comfort zone. They're shooting it in Sweden, in the house that he set it in, the family house. But it never quite feels right. That part's in English. That's Elle Fanning. She's nominated for supporting actress. And then movie kind of goes on from there. There's some health stuff. There's some personal sort of trauma dealt with, talked about, moved through. It's very much a character piece, sort of highlighting the potential redemptive power of art and engaging in that way. So I understand why the Academy nominated it, because they love movies about movies. And this is the one this year. Again, it's number 7 for me. I definitely didn't hate it. I thought it was a unique perspective on the character study. But it found at the end, I was like, yeah, okay. So for all of the, the critics' ratings and the little blurbs of like deeply emotional and thematically rich, and it's like, yeah, maybe.
Sort of.
I didn't quite feel that, but all right. So it was interesting. Didn't love it, but obviously clearly didn't hate it. So then number 8, we have F1.
Yeah.
Either of you seen this one?
No, just clips.
I have seen it.
All right. Why don't we start with you, sir? What did you think?
Oh, put me on the spot to that. Of course, of all the ones that were out there, I mean, this would probably be the first one that you would think that would be one I would see, and for good reason.
You'd be right.
Is that because you have a crush on Brad Pitt? Is that why?
Yeah, ever since Troy. Did you see that movie? I mean, come on.
That's
I can't hate that answer
right there.
Yeah.
That's when it's solidified. I mean, but you go back to, what was it? 12 Monkeys and Fight Club, although Tim doesn't like to talk about Fight Club, so.
Oh, let's move on.
We can't talk about Fight Club. That's the first
No,
one.
I think it was, again, I think we've talked about before where a movie is advertised as something, but it's something more. Obviously, this was, F1. It's a racing movie, but really it's a story of, somebody's life legacy and what's important to them, what really matters, and how they show up, how they're viewed in the world, or how they care about it. And Brad Pitt's performance of, old washed up racer that had the chance, had it all, and then was all washed away. And then as it plays out for them to show how he landed there and then what he found to be valuable in life, and how the world just viewed him so washed up and down and out. But when you got to know his character, yeah, he made some mistakes along the way, but so much of his character was just him living the life he wanted to live out of the spotlight for so many years, and watching him come into that and be the old grumpy mentor to the new kid, and watching them have their blows back and forth of highly driven individuals with egos that neither wants to put aside, and creating, just multi-million-dollar crashes with cars because of that. No big deal.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's totally fine. And the, crashing into other cars that, multiple times in one race, I'm sure that would never be an issue in real racing or anything. They'd be fine with that. There wouldn't be like once, okay, twice, okay, third time, it's what are the odds? I mean, it could happen, right?
It could happen. These are professional drivers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what would your overall rating be?
I would definitely go back and watch it again. I enjoyed it. The pacing was good. I enjoyed, of course, this one I liked the music more than the other because it was more, had more hip hop stuff or more upbeat or more music, less just score to it. 7-2, probably.
Right. Yeah.
Something like that. I mean, I definitely go back and watch it again. I had a lot of fun with it. I think watching it again, would give me a chance to kind of watch more of the auxiliary players around it, less of the main story. Because I think there's some good little nuggets in there that I picked up, and I'm sure there's more. I mean, it's Jerry Bruckheimer, so there's a little more going on than just the big theatrics. So, yeah. I don't know. That's what I would give it. And I think the chemistry between the two drivers was just, I enjoyed how that worked out over time. It wasn't clean. Some of the stuff was, oh yeah, of course it's predictable what you would see, but they did a good job of sprinkling in a few things that were a little more curveball, so it wasn't quite as predictable how it would go, which I enjoyed, because when you've seen, well, not as many as you, but when they can throw a curveball in there and it's not quite exactly what you'd expect, that's nice. It's refreshing.
Yeah. I give it a very similar rating to you. I wasn't bored at any point, but I also was, some of the things you talked about, of it felt like I'd seen the dynamic at play before, not necessarily the same story, because I haven't seen very many racing movies, and we've never had a F1 movie like this. But the old grizzled veteran that knows everything, and the upstart young wisecracking kid that's full head of ego of like, this guy's done, and that dynamic has been done a lot. So they played it well. I feel like there could have been a little bit more depth brought to it if they had gone a different route. I don't know what that route would be, but for what it was really solid. It just didn't blow me away. The most interesting part of the film to me was a lot of the conversation about and the interplay of the actual racing, and seeing that, because I don't know anything about F1, the actual, the physics of it and the strategy, and, using your teammate for drafting and those type of things were all new to me. So getting to see that was really cool, but I could watch a documentary for that as well. And maybe if I saw it in a theater, I'd have felt a little bit more of the intensity of being behind the wheel. But sitting in my recliner, watching it at a 10 o'clock at night, it was very much like, yeah, it's a racing movie. Nothing wrong with it, but it's not amazing. So this is the one that probably surprised me the most out of the group that got a nomination. But this feels a little bit like the Avatar of a couple years ago, of let's bring in the one that everybody's seen or more people have seen to make the Oscars a little bit more accessible.
Yeah, I'd say that's fair.
Would be my feel.
Although I still feel like, obviously it's not your bottom ranked one on there, so that tells you, it's still, I still think it was an incredibly well done movie. And yeah, I didn't think about the aspect of, I've grown up with cars and racing, so that stuff was like normal, like knowledge things that I would know. And some of it you're like, they wouldn't really do that. But a lot of it is like
Yeah.
true stuff, like the modifications to a car. And, if it doesn't pass all the tests, they can ground your car or strip parts off of it. No, that's legit.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going through the trivia for this movie just a little bit, just because I find it kind of interesting. And Brad Pitt and Damson did all their own driving at speeds up to 180 miles per hour.
That's awesome.
So
What
that's
in the
pretty
Tom
cool.
Cruise?
Yeah, that's the right reaction. And then they did a bunch of the production on live Grand Prix weekends. So over the course of 2 years, they went to actual Grand Prix events, did the recording during those events, and built a functional garage that was in between Mercedes and Ferrari. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I knew they had said they used some different live footage and things, and I think the actual crash scene that's supposed to be his crash is actually a real crash of a real racer from past F1 races, if I'm remembering correctly. So
it's pretty neat. This one's been on my go check it out list, but it hasn't made it yet.
Worth watching for sure.
Definitely.
All right. The number 9, I have Marty Supreme. Timothy Chalamet's performance is the only reason that this movie is nominated. He's nominated for Best Actor. I think he's second currently in the odds to win it. And rightly so. He plays a total jerk of a person, but in a way that you have a little bit of empathy for him. Essentially the only plot is Marty is a guy who wants to compete on the global stage in ping pong in 1950s America, but he doesn't have the money to fund himself. He doesn't have the cachet or the job to get the sponsors that he needs. So he has to kind of work the system, trick some people, find ways to get to his goal. And it's just this sort of like the single-minded, this is all I'm supposed to do. This is why I'm here. This is my calling as a person. Of course it's going to happen because it has to be. And so it's over time, it's a slow deconstruction of him as a person because he's trying to achieve these things, but he can't do it alone, even though he feels like he should be able to. And the nuance of that performance was really cool. But the film itself is a bit of a nothing burger in terms of like, did it leave me with anything? No. Did I care about his journey? A little. Will I watch it again? Probably not. But I didn't hate it. So for how much he can carry a film and what he can do, it's worth watching. But if you're going in for this high stakes ping pong movie where there's lots of ping pong back and forth, and I think they show 3 matches total in the 2-hour movie.
Oof.
So Gwyneth Paltrow actually blew me away. I haven't seen her in much. I really liked her in Shakespeare in Love, which she won for. And obviously she was Pepper Potts in the Marvel movies, but she hasn't done much outside of that recently. So to see her in this was cool. And she was probably my favorite part of the movie. She plays, again, this is set in like 1957 or something. So she plays a 1920s, 30s movie actress who's now retired and married to like a rich millionaire in New York. And her and Marty hit it off and start to see each other a little bit. And so he kind of, uses her to get money or jewelry or whatever so he can get to his goal. But she was, the most anchored real person in the movie is what it felt like. There's more that happens, but overall, I just kind of left the movie feeling like, oh, okay. It's by, let's see, directing, was he? Yeah, Josh Safdie, one of the Safdie brothers that directed Uncut Gems with Adam Sandler. I don't know if either of you saw that. So it's got a similar feel without being as gritty, which I appreciated. Uncut Gems was good, but a little dark and grisly. This is less so. But overall, it was just sort of so 7-1 maybe. And then finally, we have The Secret Agent. This is the last one I watched. Hardest one to get through overall, because it's all in Brazilian. It's
Portuguese.
2 hours and 40 minutes.
Portuguese. Brazilian's not a language. Yeah.
Portuguese. 2 hours and 40 minutes. And it starts out pretty slow. It does build to the end. It's a political thriller. I haven't researched it enough to know if it was based on a true story or not. But it was good. Wagner Moura, who's nominated for Best Actor, was really good in it. But I came away feeling like that was a really well-made movie. And it should be nominated for sure, Best Foreign Film. Obviously, it's nominated for Best Picture. I guess I can see why. But I'm not going to watch it again. So there you go. That's my top 10 in order.
Yeah, and that one, that's a bummer on that one too, because I think that was one that seemed intriguing to me. And then I saw that it was all in Portuguese and it was 2 hours and 40 minutes and full transparency. I was just like, yeah, I don't think I got that in me.
Yeah.
Seemed like that'd be tough. And especially if you're saying a slow start at that too. Slow start reading through. Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta wanna.
Yeah.
Good
I
stuff.
didn't want it enough.
All right, so we're filming this right before the Oscars. It'll be interesting to see what actually happens. Once again, your top pick is Hamnet, but you expect that One Battle After Another is probably leading.
Correct. And then for Best Actor, I expect them to pick Michael B. Jordan. I'd pick Timothée Chalamet. For Supporting Actor, I think they're going to pick Sean Penn. I'd go with Jacob Elordi in Frankenstein, though I'd say he's more of a leading character. If not him, then Benicio del Toro.
Yeah, Del Toro was so good.
Right now, the only sure thing of all the Oscars is Jessie Buckley winning Best Actress for Hamnet. Fully agree with. If it can't be her, it should be Emma Stone in Begonia.
Mm-hmm.
Supporting Actress, I would pick Wunmi Mosaku from Sinners. She is truly the lifeblood of the film and carries it forward. And she made the movie what it is. But apparently they're going with Amy Madigan from the movie Weapons, which is a fine movie that she does well in. It's a horror movie. She plays like the witch that's sort of puppeteering everything behind the scenes. She's fine in it, but nothing about it whoa. But apparently she's going to win. And then for director, I'd go with Ryan Coogler for Sinners over Chloe Zhao for Hamnet. I think Coogler has a bigger scope and scale to the film than Hamnet does. But the betting odds right now are Paul Thomas Anderson for One Battle After Another. So that's your big five, big six with all the acting. But yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes. As always, we have our brackets filled out, and we each get 2 picks. We write down what we think the Academy will pick and what we would pick. And if either one is right, we get the one correct. And we see who has the most correct at the end. I have yet to lose.
Mm-hmm.
But I have also yet to get every single one right. The closest I've been is one away. So maybe this year.
Yep. Good luck.
There's always a chance.
But that's it. That's all I got for you. Hope everyone has a great Oscars. I know I am. Thanks for joining us here on Hamlet. And appreciate the time. Thank you, Ian, and thank you, David.
Absolutely. And let's dig that office back out and get back into the studio.
Yes, sir.
Sounds
This
good.
one's good, folks.
Yep.
Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again soon.